This is Remembering Smallville.
A Smallville rewatch podcast.
I'm Daniel.
I'm Nicole.
I'm Kim.
And I'm Brett.
Do you remember a few episodes ago when I brought up the question of what reality television show do you want to be on? And Daniel was an absolute turd about it.
I remember this,
That was
yes.
my favorite banter.
Well,
I don't
Daniel,
recall being a turd.
Daniel has some news for you.
Well, okay, so before you judge me as somebody who just sells his soul,
Oh, I'm judging.
You're already judged.
here's the thing. Nicole said, what kind of deal can we strike to get you to watch Big Brother? And I said, you can rub me the whole time. And she's
On
like,
the back.
On the back.
Back rub, yeah.
Because, you know, we're both whores for back rubs. And so we'll basically do anything for a good...
It's 100% true.
You guys have no idea. I trade things. I trade money for back rubs for my kids. I'm
Yeah,
like,
Brett's is back scratches. Mine is like head massage.
It's
Oh,
all
yeah.
the same. Back rubs includes head scratches, back scratches, and full-on, like, massages. That's what we call being rubbed for each other.
Say, will you rub me?
So we put...
That's what we always say.
Okay, so before you tell us that you sold yourself out, you were making deals with Nicole.
So
Wait.
So
I
I've
thought
never-
you've watched Big Brother.
I've never sat down with her and watched it.
Okay.
All I've done
He's
is...
like been in the room while I've been watching it on my phone while doing the dishes and being like, I hate this. What are you watching? That's all he's ever seen. It's just sounds.
Because it sounds insane. I thought about it. I thought of all these different shows, and I first presented one to her, and then I was like, no. And then I was like, actually, I want to watch Stargate with you because she's been so resistant to it, and it's my favorite sci-fi show. I said, for every week of Big Brother, we have to watch at least one episode of Stargate. And she said, okay. And so we watched the first week of Big Brother Season 7. It's with All Stars. It is with people who previously played the game and America wanted back. So they're all like the best of the best for the first 6 seasons. And it was actually fun. Like,
We watched the whole season in 3 days.
yeah.
You binged it in 3 days.
And we also got through a whole season of Stargate in 3 days.
Did you love
Nice.
it, Nicole?
I liked Stargate. It was a lot more fun than I thought because he was skipping filler episodes.
Yeah.
So you guys both found a show you loved. Worked out so good.
Yes. And then we got into Season 8 of Big Brother, and everybody in that season cries. And freaks out and yells at each other like mad, and I want to die. But some of it is also really fun, like the way people play the game and the way they double cross each other. But like Season 7, there's these 2 guys who called themselves Chilltown, and they just played everybody like they were putty in their hands for the whole season.
It's such a good show, and it's so fun to watch because it's the greatest entertainment ever. And I wanted him to experience it, and he finally did. And now he's like, okay, one more episode.
And the best part is we've both had the same reaction to each other, enjoying each other's show.
What was it?
So when Nicole, at one point, she asked, are you kind of liking it? I'm like, yes, I'm actually liking it. I'm having fun. She was like,
I literally, because we were like laying in our bed watching it on our computer, and I like almost had a full body seizure of joy. You know those where you kind of like jitter about because you're so happy?
Yes.
So one of those.
and then about, I don't know, like the next day, she said something, which was like, I'm starting to care about these characters in Stargate. And I was like, yeah. And like,
He did, and then he did the exact same thing I did.
You guys are
I
amazing.
love that so much.
that.
Okay, I think if we ever get into reality TV, we need to.
Oh, I'll watch it with you guys for
Okay,
sure.
Done.
And it's fun because it's like 2002, 2001, 2003, like early. And so you get amazingly low rise jeans. Just the fashion is insane.
it's similar fashion to what we get in Smallville.
Oh, it's true.
But
yes.
I think there is a joy that you get with sharing something you love that much with somebody. My favorite thing is when I see a movie that I love in the theaters, I would want to go with everybody that I know.
Yes.
Again, to kind of watch them watch it.
Yes.
I think that we're all getting that with Kim in Smallville.
It's true.
Oh,
We love
yes.
watching Kim watch Smallville.
It's been so fun. I love it, and I'm so invested. Brett finally had me watch Daredevil. It's his favorite TV show ever, and he did the same thing. He cut out filler episodes or episodes that would bother me with too much violence, and it was awesome. I loved it, and we had a blast.
It's a good show. And speaking of good shows, let's get into the episode.
This is Season 1, Episode 15, Nicodemus.
Thank you for listening to the Luther Corp Weekly Memo. All Luther Corp employees are encouraged to follow the Remembering Smallville social media pages to stay up to date on the latest Remembering Smallville news and policies. Follow us at Remembering Smallville on Instagram or email us at rememberingsmallville@gmail.com.
With the help of AI, here's a summary. In the 2002 Smallville episode titled Nicodemus, James Beale, an employee of Luther Corp, steals an experimental flower that contains meteor rock pollen from Dr. Stephen Hamilton. Beals is later involved in a truck accident and is rescued by Jonathan Kent, but the flower's pollen falls on Kent's face. The pollen causes Kent to unleash his repressed desires, including anger towards the Luthers and feelings for Martha. Kent eventually falls into a coma, and other characters, such as Lana and Pete, are also affected by the flower. Lana tries to seduce Clark, while Clark helps Lex track down the flower's source. How do you think AI did?
Really good.
That was an
Pretty
AI
solid.
synopsis. Huh?
Now,
Yeah.
there's my synopsis. It's not AI, but this is everybody does weed.
Yeah, this flower lowers all of your inhibitions and just makes you be like, whatever, man.
So I'm so curious. What were your guys' opinions on this episode?
Okay, as a teen, this was a very sexy episode. Now, as a mid-30s, I found it a little cringy and weird. I loved it though as a teen. That's why I was like, this has to be a standalone episode for this podcast. It's so good. And then I watched it and I was like, oh, it's not great.
I was wondering when, we discussed this before about making this a standalone episode. Of all the episodes that we decided to let be a standalone, I thought to myself, why Nicodemus?
Because my teen brain remembered it being super fun and sexy.
And yeah, there is a scene in it that is pretty dang sexy, but it's also slightly cringe.
really weird.
Yeah, it's a little weird.
So can I tell you my opinion? I actually enjoyed this episode. I loved seeing the actors do something different.
That is true.
I think that might be the best
Pete,
part.
Like Pete, I was like, this is not you, Pete. Like, I loved it.
That reminds me. So I have a question then. Who was your favorite actor in the way they did their character different in this show so far, in this episode?
Jonathan.
Yes. Yes. And Pete was second. Jonathan.
Pete's is just very short-lived.
Yeah.
He's only that way
We
for
didn't have the
6
time
minutes.
to do it like Jonathan did, but I
I
get
could
it.
not believe. I was like,
And I have a theory
oh,
about that, actually.
Let's hear it.
Well, let's get...
We'll get to it.
'cause-
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I said with all of you, I think Jonathan was the one that stole this episode with his acting, especially because his was progressively worse, and you got to see it progressively change him more and more and more. And that made it very interesting, and I think it carried a lot of the episode for me.
That is so intelligent. Yes. True. I agree with you.
So this episode starts out with this man freaking out. He's got this flower in his car. He's, give me Lionel Luthor now. And immediately I was like, ooh, Lionel Luthor. So he's involved.
Uh-huh.
Which is pretty nuts when you think about it.
And I didn't think anything was wrong with it. Well, okay, I did, but I didn't realize that something had happened to him. I just thought that Lionel Luthor makes everyone act like that.
I mean, maybe.
Fair.
But the
Fair
crazy
point.
thing is he's like road raging really hard and he comes up on Jonathan. Jonathan just pulled to the side. Problem
I know.
solved.
I don't know why Jonathan
I
wouldn't pull to
know.
the side. That's what I would do if there was a crazy behind me. You know, when you get that like BMW driver behind you that is flashing their lights and you just got to get out of the way.
This is Jonathan Kent, and there's a reason why Clark is willing to go and save people, because Jonathan, with no special powers, pulls this guy out of the truck, runs away, and covers him when the explosion happens, just like a Clark. Even though
After
he
being
doesn't
a
have
jerk. Like,
Yeah.
the guy was a jerk. I would have yelled at him first and then saved him.
Yeah.
But-
Well, it was so funny. So Daniel and I are watching, and the truck rolls or whatever, and Jonathan grabs him, and Daniel goes, "That truck's gonna explode." And I was like, "Really?" And he goes,
Oh, yeah.
100%." And then it immediately explodes.
Daniel, that is what I said.
Oh, they have to blow up a car.
Well, and if you notice, they play music like leading up to the explosion, and I was like, here it comes.
It's so true. From where the car is to where Jonathan runs with the man, the flower is there too.
How did it
get
fly
fly out of the car? How did it get there?
So they actually kind of address this later.
Really?
This is where Dr. Hamilton's been planting them in the ground, and then he pulls them out.
Oh,
That's why he keeps coming back.
No, that's not right.
Well,
Okay.
why does he come back there then?
Because the flower was stolen.
Maybe.
He's growing
but-
them in his shed.
But it was in a potted plant in the truck, right?
Right, that he took from his lab.
Right.
In that little glass case.
But then you have Lana and Chloe come back later, and it's planted in the ground.
No, it's not.
It is.
No.
We'll have to watch it again.
It's that same flower.
It's the same flower, but it's not potted.
No,
That
it's
one's
not
in the ground.
This one's not in the ground.
Yeah.
It is.
That's from you guys know.
Now there's the whole other question of this of how did they randomly have an accident right next to the flower?
That is the flower
That's
from
a
the
different
truck.
problem.
That's the flower from the truck. It's the same flower that gets Lana.
But
Same
they seem
flower.
to have a one trick. The flowers seem
they're-
to be a one trick pony though, because they wilt away after they're used. So
I
how
know,
is it the
I
same
don't think
flower
so.
every time?
I don't
And
think so.
why is the scientist, she was like, why were you there? Do you remember when Chloe says that?
Yeah, he went there to go get that flower.
Well, Jonathan didn't pull the flower out of the truck.
I think that flower flew out of the truck. That's the flower that was in the truck.
It just flipped out when he rolled.
The debate of
It doesn't make any sense then.
No, you're watching a Superman show, Nicole. It doesn't make sense.
Contrivances in order to create problems is a common writing trope,
Well, I hate it.
especially in episodic TV.
Okay, everyone. Get this in your head, canon. This is what happened. That flower was the one in the truck.
It flew out.
It flew out along with right along with the hula dancer girl that Lana finds later. It flies out. They both fly out of the window. That's the same flower.
That's true. The hula dancer did fly out.
It's right next to it. It's the same flower. And it was dying, and that's why it takes so long for Jonathan and Lana to go from not to fainting. And Pete's flower was fresh in the ground, totally alive, and it triggers him in 8 seconds.
Oh my. Nicole, I respect this opinion.
This is why this had to be a standalone episode, so we could have this argument.
Because there's so much to say.
Or is it a debate? It might be a debate.
So am I right?
I don't know, maybe.
I don't know.
We'll say you are, and then maybe if the writers listen to the show, they can comment and tell us the real reason what.
Okay. And
But-
also, I edit these sometimes, so I'll just make it sound like I'm right.
Sure.
I think that's fair.
So that trope of having contrivances that hurt the characters, I like that over contrivances that help the characters. Does that make sense?
No. Say that in an easier way.
So
Explain it to me like I'm 5.
So when you have an event that nobody controls, that's just there, it's nature or things align just in like a perfect way.
Like, well, that was convenient.
If it conveniently hurts the main character, it is okay. And I you can even make that really, really good. Unfairness is a part of life. And when you have unfairness happen, that's totally fine. But when you do the opposite, it's so difficult to pull off well. The opposite is when everything's going terribly and then all of a sudden they call it like Deus Ex Machina, where some event happens
It's
that
a thing.
pulls them out of the situation against, it's not their own power that did it. It was a contrivance. It was something that because plot, it's plot armor, right?
Because then it's not believable.
Yeah, it kind of removes your belief because you can believe unfairness. You can believe, oh, that's the wrong place at the wrong time. And right place at the right time can work. But it's so much harder to get that to come well on screen.
Especially
or in
on a
books.
TV show that has to happen every single week where you're like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, which bad thing are we going to make happen this time? I mean, you have to be coming up with these things all the time, but I'd prefer the writers to always be coming up with hurtful things that are contrivances rather than helpful things all the time. And you do get both in the show, but more often than not, you get the former, which is far superior.
Well, and that's what makes TV interesting, right? And it makes it relatable to a viewer because life is hard. Life is hard for all of us. None of us have Superman strength. None of us are Clark. So when, oh man, this unfortunate thing happens, he gets sick, he gets hurt, his friend does this, his parent has this, it's a lot more relatable than Man, he just has it great all the dang time.
And I think that's one particular purpose that works really well for serialized storytelling, which is this, versus movies, right? A movie will condense everything, whereas when you have a TV show, you can serialize it and you can have basically the event of the day type of thing. It's because they're saying, well, what if we threw this at the main character? What would they do? And then that's entertainment. Right?
Yep.
And so that's what's going on here. And I actually like it. It's fun. This flower is a fun thing for them to have to deal with. With the flower, if you saw a moving flower that was moving of its own accord, there's not like wind, would you stare at it and like get close to it?
And then like let it ejaculate into your face? I don't know what else to call it.
It's true.
I honestly thought the flower was going to like bite him.
Right.
That it was like,
Especially in Smallville, at this point, they should know that there's weird stuff about.
yes.
You know,
be
strange
a black
things are
trap or
afoot at the Circle
And
K in
Nicole,
Smallville.
let's call it poof. It poofed
That's better.
in his face.
I'm a little tired. It's all right. I wrote the spores of lust in my notes.
Ejaculating into your face.
Oh no.
Enjoy editing, friends.
I don't know what words we have to bleep or not. I guess listeners, you'll find out.
Usually we bleep swears.
Some of them. Okay, so after Jonathan saves Mr. Beals, I don't remember what his first name is, he like sneezes, which is the key that you've been infected apparently.
Totally.
Okay, we cut to Lex's mansion where Dr. Hamilton and Lex are discussing the stolen flower, all this stuff. Lex has an entire pitcher of orange juice.
Yeah.
Who, as a single man in their home, needs a whole pitcher of fresh squeezed orange juice?
I'm going to be honest with you right now. It would be me. I'm not even going to hide from that. You give me orange juice, and I'm taking the whole thing by myself.
Has a lot of orange juice.
I'm not going to lie. It's terrible for me. I'm a diabetic, and I shouldn't have it. But I'm here to tell you I would do that. I love orange juice.
Also, something we've noticed as we've been watching these, there's orange juice in almost every episode.
Somebody drinks a glass of orange juice or a cup of orange juice in like every episode.
Really?
Literally.
Why?
It will happen in the next episode.
I think the writers were craving orange juice.
Yeah.
It's
Maybe
happened in the past.
It's like Tampico or something was one of their sponsors,
Sunny
and
D.
they were providing
Sunny D.
that as part of the catering, and
loading
so
it
they're like,
on
we
there.
might as well use it.
Or they were trying to feed all the cast and crew, and no one would drink it, so they started to just put the stuff on set.
I don't know what it is. It's just like so bright and vibrant, and everyone's drinking it.
Maybe it was like I could see back in that time, like in the early 2000s, orange juice being like, that's the healthy thing you drink for breakfast.
Wait,
Big
it's loaded. Hold on. Orange juice is loaded with vitamin C, and they are filming this in Canada. Fighting off them colds, y'alls.
Everyone drinks
Everyone's
orange
sick.
juice on set.
But do you know what has more vitamin C than orange juice? Potatoes.
Yes. Orange juice is a big lie full of sugar.
That's why I drink orange juice for vitamin C.
That's
guys.
why you have
pitcher
to
is
drink
full.
a lot of it so that you can get, enough vitamin C.
And hydrate myself same time.
It's
and
a
it's
win-win.
delicious.
And you'll look like Lex if you drink it.
Yeah.
It's also like the Great Live Bananas because of Honey, We Shrunk Ourselves.
Yeah, we all think they have potassium.
And they do, but there's like 18 other foods that have 10 times more.
Yes.
So, and it's just funny.
Do you know what Bentley said during this episode? She goes, Lex is kind of handsome.
Oh, yes.
And I was like,
That was after she said,
Clark is fine.
Yeah. A Bentleyism for us.
I love a good Bentleyism.
When we get to the next scene after Lex's mansion, the Kents are making out
I loved
on the
it.
countertop.
I love how red Martha's face is. Like they've been macking for a while.
And how innocent. She's like, oh,
They're married. It's fine.
I loved it. So cute.
I love it so much. And there's something you'll notice about Jonathan is that his shirt's unbuttoned.
Yes, with his white shirt
His
underneath.
wife beater. And it just showing his easy cash.
He's a real man
nap taking,
now.
beer guzzling, chill guy.
Oh yeah, did you guys love how he burped in Lex's face?
Oh my
Just a full-on
gosh.
belch right at him.
And Martha's face is like mortified.
Well, he's really rude to Lex in this episode.
Oh,
Yeah.
He's
I don't
so
like Lex
mean.
Luthor.
Tell us how you really feel.
Yeah, because every other episode before this, he's just mean in his attitude, and now he just tells him straight
Well, yeah,
out
he's
he
just kind of
hates him.
cold and icy and distant, and now he's like, just says what he thinks, and it's rough. Because you can't take that back.
No.
No, that's out now.
Good thing Lex is pretty dang forgiving, though, because he wants to be in the good graces of the Kents so badly, he'll forgive more. But that would also hurt. I feel like Lex at this point would have thought that he was making good progress with the Kents, and then all of a sudden it's
Back
like
to square zero.
oh.
Oh,
It's
stab
like
in
I
the
haven't
heart.
done anything right.
So one of my favorite things when we get into the next scene when they're at school is when Pete refers to what Martha and Jonathan were doing as counter-macking.
What the phrase?
And I'd
We should
forgotten.
counter Mac more often, babe.
Done.
Well, I had forgotten they were making out on the counter, and so I was like, counter-macking?
Mac and
Why?
cheese?
Like, no, I was like, what is it about counter? And then I was like, oh, they were on the counter, duh. Like, I'd just already forgotten for some reason, but I did love that. And then Chloe's poll.
She's doing a poll of all these students to know what their greatest desire is. And did anybody else get Twilight references here?
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah. I told you I can get every episode back to Twilight, and
She
I'll
has
do
mentioned it every episode.
it.
Now-
It's just,
Really?
they're all the same.
She's mentioned
it.
Twilight in every episode of this podcast.
Oh, you mean there's
wife.
innocent girls plus supernatural human being? Weird. That
Well,
you can always be there.
just the fact that everyone's greatest desire is money or sex, except for that one guy who loves cats in Twilight. So in the show,
Lana's is the
Lana
cat-
is the exactly in the show of Smallville. Chloe's asking all these teens, "What's your greatest desire?" And it's money and sex, except for Lana, who wants to climb a windmill. And in Twilight, it's that one weird guy who's thinking about cats.
So Lana's the weird guy that thinks about cats.
Exactly.
Yes.
Gotcha. I actually, of this poll, the part that made me laugh the most is Clark watching Lana walk away and Chloe saying, "This is a PG-13 poll."
Oh, I know.
You're like,
that.
oh man.
I have a question. Did you think that everyone seemed a little like extra honest with the
Yes,
poll
ev-
answers?
Yeah.
Yeah, no one's going to do that in high school. They're not going to be that honest.
Yeah, it made me feel like, wait, is Jonathan's infection already spreading slightly?
Because Chloe's super bold with Clark.
Yeah, they're
I
all
think-
like bolder and more honest, and I was like, I think they might be laying that on a little thick right now.
I think it's a director choice because of some of the lines in here. Just before this, they're having a conversation about a cute girl, and Pete goes, "It's human nature," and it's the whole concept of the episode is
Yeah.
we're gonna lean heavy into human nature and our inhibitions are unlocked. I think it's more of a director choice to bring everyone very hard into that.
I did love Chloe's line when she gets bold with Clark and she says, "You just need to sit in your loft and play with your telescope or move on." And I didn't know if that was innuendo or not. But
That's what I was thinking.
No, I think it was literal. She's already caught him looking at it through the telescope.
Yeah.
yeah,
Never
but
before.
Chloe is not the type of person to shy away from
It could be both.
Innuendo
She probably
either.
meant both.
All right, I want you to start watching, everyone, at 8 minutes and 46 seconds. Jonathan's going to come down the stairs and look at the cupboard on the left. Ignore the people. Look at the cupboard. Haunted cupboards. They just open and no one's there. I don't know what's going on.
I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, we were watching and she's like, "Wait, go back."
The cupboard is haunted.
We have haunted cupboards.
You know that it's like an old thing and it just like opened and they're like, no one will notice.
I did.
And Jonathan's being extra with his wife now. He's like,
A little extra flirtatious.
He's
Can't
also
keep his hands off her.
rolling into the rage.
Yeah.
After Martha leaves and kind of denies his advances, the phone rings. He gets denied a bank loan, and he breaks his phone on the supporting beam that we've only just fixed from the episode a few back.
another expense.
He breaks the phone, and he is like, "You're gonna have to tell me no to my face."
And I thought the flower was shooting out testosterone at first.
Oh, yeah.
It's just like roid rages.
Pretty much.
It's not
On
too
the
far
beam.
off, honestly.
Slam
In
the phone.
every situation, it's not too far off of road rage.
Now it's time for Jonathan to road rage right in town square.
Opening his door to do a road rage during a power slide was cold.
Couldn't be bothered to run down his window.
He's power sliding a 1970s pickup truck and like road raging with the door open.
I think it's because he's probably got a manual roll window, so it takes too long. You're just gonna open the door.
It was just crazy though. Like that's something I feel like if this show were big right now, there'd be memes about that.
Yeah.
Oh,
You
yes. Oh, absolutely. And let's just go ahead and give him a little tip of the cap to him for his Dukes of Hazzard days coming back.
Yes. Yes.
This episode had to have been so much fun for them to record.
Oh, so true.
And luckily for Jonathan, Clark happens to be in town,
Always.
whatever time of day this is.
Yeah, and I feel really, I got really excited at this moment because just an episode or two back, it's the first time that Clark was shot, right? So Lex was
Yes.
able to shoot him with an Uzi and he bruised with just bullets, right? From away. And this is a full shotgun shell to the chest and he doesn't even
Point
fall
blank.
down.
Yeah.
Point blank, and he just takes it in the chest. Oh, so this goes to the progression we've talked about as he continues to get stronger. I thought this was a really cool effect.
I loved his face. Like, my dad just shot me.
And also Jonathan's like, I just shot you. And now we get the camera visuals of like fading away, the light flares, and he passes out. Thank goodness.
Yeah.
And thank goodness no one saw, because that's attempted murder.
Yes.
On his own kid. So Jonathan goes to the hospital and the doctor's like, oh, I would say I've never seen this before, but literally a guy yesterday had the same symptoms. And it's the guy Jonathan saved. So there's a big connection there.
Doesn't the doctor mention what the symptoms are or what's actually going on?
He mentions the symptoms, but he doesn't know what's causing it or anything like that yet.
So one of the things that I thought was just interesting, it doesn't break the story for me, but just a question that I would have. If you notice in the hospital scene as he's taking Jonathan there, Clark is wearing the same shirt that was just shredded by a shotgun hitting him in the chest, and no one's asking him a question about...
He's got a jacket on.
He has a jacket over it. That's why no one's asking a question.
Okay, all right.
Problem solved.
Well, one of the things that the doctor explains is that Beals, whatever, has fallen into a coma. And since they know that Jonathan has the same thing,
Just a
now
matter
they're
of time.
very, very worried about him because they see that as a progression that he's going to fall into. And that's super sad.
Next, we get Lana and Chloe doing some investigations.
Yeah, Mystery Inc. this time is featuring the two girls instead of Pete, Chloe, and Clark.
I had noted here that Lex is the Mystery Inc. Lex went out of his way to go find the Nicodemus book. He went and solved the case, and he beat the Mystery Inc. to solving it well in advance.
That's true.
Go Team Lex. He's smarter and faster than Mystery Inc.
He also has resources, too.
Details.
He's like the Batman.
Okay, I have this note. So Lana finds the hula dancer. Right next to it is, I'm going to say, the same flower that got Jonathan. And I wrote this note. How does the flower know to ejaculate on human faces? How does it know? It like saves up and builds up? Just a person. Boink? How?
No, I think
No
more than
idea.
anything, it's like other flowers. Like if you've seen the Venus flytrap, things like that.
It's triggered?
It's got a trigger for not necessarily
Maybe there's
human. You
tiny
have to
little
get.
Maybe
hairs.
movement?
It's got
What
to be
if it's
movement.
doing this
Movement?
to animals?
Close or heat. It might
And
be
the
like
animals go
a
crazy.
heat source getting
Because
close enough to
normally
it or
the
something.
purpose of those things is to either, like, if Venus flytrap gets nourishment, other flowers are doing it to pollinate.
Or it could
How
be like
is
defense.
that pollinating?
Okay, not only is there Jurassic Park callback in this episode, but I'm going to call back to Jurassic Park. Just different defense mechanisms with creatures,
You
plants,
think it's
things
defending
like
itself?
that. I think it could be a defense thing.
It makes the
Keep
most
yourself
sense.
from pulling it, so it's like, oh, don't touch.
Okay, so the next scene is Lex and Hamilton trying to figure out this cure. You'll see in that shed, there's all these flowers. He's not growing them in a field. They are controlled. It is a controlled substance.
Nicole's insistent that she's right.
I
She
think I
probably
am
is.
right. So they find this book called the Nicodemus Diary.
When it's like, okay, when you find out about what Hamilton is doing, what a stupid idea.
To bring back
let's-
this plant.
This is what the people in Wuhan were doing before 2020.
Let's do that.
Okay.
with irradiated seeds.
I didn't quite understand why. Like, he tries to explain it.
Well, he's trying to figure out what the meteor rocks can do.
Okay.
Can they bring something back that's extinct? So they had seeds, because seeds after a time become
Useless.
useless. They can't grow anything anymore. So he wanted to see if he could revitalize them with it. It's like, why do you have that idea that's going to work?
Hamilton also says it's theorized that this flower has good medicinal properties if you can get beyond the evilness of it.
Right.
Like that it can do good if you can control the bad. And so that's what he says. But what do we got? Do we think that Hamilton
I think he's slightly evil and that he wanted to see what would happen.
just like chaotic neutral? I can,
He's
so I
willing-
will.
In order to understand his research, he is willing to allow anything to happen. I wonder if he allowed the plant to get stolen. I wonder if he was following the guy in such a way that he could later find the plant.
Or he was like, I could always hurt someone with it if I need to. I am sort of being blackmailed by the Luthers.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, and the reason I see through Hamilton's research on this is, again, he's doing it all in the name of science. I want to see what it can do. Well, he's already proven, in this case, multiple times that it can revive this flower.
So stop doing it.
So you don't have to have 40 versions of this.
True. One
Right?
was enough.
Like, you did it. Now move on
Well,
to your next
I
application.
don't know. Was that a fluke? Is it because I also was breathing at the time? I have to eliminate that as a factor. So next time I revitalize seeds, I'm not going to breathe. Oh, but it was also noon. So next time I'm going to do it at night. Like, what?
Sure, but
No,
he
I'm
needed
being-
to see that,
I'm
that
making
it could
fun of him, of course,
revitalize
but-
it. Right, but he needed to see that it could be revitalized. Done. Check the box. It could do that. No matter what the other extenuating circumstances might be.
Well, and he seemed to really like them because he like reached towards it.
Yeah,
and,
and
like,
Oh,
it's-
he's
It's
got
very
a
Little Shop of Horrors.
Yes.
Oh, nice call out.
Thank
yeah,
you.
he likes his little pets.
Very
He
proud of
touches
them.
them like Bug Boy touched his bugs. So
But the main takeaway here is Lex is determined to find a cure. That's the goal,
Yes.
ultimately. So Lana gets flower spores the night before
And sneezes.
and then decides in the night, because things are flowing around her body, that she is now a sexy beast. She gets some hoop earrings. Mm-hmm. She gets a short skirt, a thick chunky belt,
Yeah.
chonky.
and then, a shirt with no sleeves. Very un-Lana like.
And clunker.
Oh, very chunky boots.
Yeah.
She wants to diddle Whitney, but he's like not feeling it. She does. She's like, let's ditch class and make some bad decisions. And he's like, actually, I need to go to school because my dad's sick and I'm trying to, be responsible. And she's like, F you, we're done.
I'll find someone else.
And so she immediately goes and finds Clark, who's chilling at the torch,
Oh, man.
playing with a toy.
If only Clark could have Lana go after him when she's not under the influence from something, or or not in a dream, or
This is literally the exaggerated version of the will they won't they, because they
Yeah.
tease that she does about every 4 episodes. They're like, look, she's doing it, and you're like, but it's not really
yeah, but
her.
it's not really her.
And that's like the worst will they won't they, because you see it happen and you're like, I don't even believe it. I don't even believe it's real.
We'll talk more about that in the next couple episodes. I have opinions.
Yes. But the funniest part was when Clark goes, I think the operative word is gulp.
I
Yes.
loved that. I loved it.
When you're trying to be like sexy, Kim, do you change the entire way that you walk, talk, and sound?
I'm sexy all the time.
So that's what I'm saying.
No, not at all.
She's just like, she goes from talking like this all the time to,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, come on, just do what feels good, Clark.
Yeah. I was like, Lana.
And
Who are you?
And it's so insane because if only she had said, I just dumped Whitney. Here I am. But I don't think she ever once says I'm done with Whitney in this scene. So as far as Clark knows, he's still in the picture.
That's true. I wonder if that was either cut or just forgotten.
I think it actually plays into something I noted later because Clark does turn her down.
Yes.
And it could be very much part of that. Is
Well,
the
I'm
fact
sure
that
it must be.
Because if she said, I'm done with Whitney, it might have been like, oh, okay, well then we can like each other. But he's still drawing the line that, nope, I'm not doing that.
And he's also saved her and Whitney's relationship twice so far, and he's going to do it again.
And he does have some mental pressure. His dad's in the hospital, so he's not really in the mood for this.
Yeah. So, Nicole,
Yes.
where does a 15 to 16-year-old girl get lingerie just like that?
From Nell.
Oh, Nell comes back. Nell catching shade. Oh, man.
Do you have a better theory?
Like, isn't she just in her bra and panties?
That
is not
classic.
regular normal. That is car crash underwear. That is not regular.
What is car crash underwear?
Car crash underwear is the underwear that you wear every day, supposedly, in case you ever get into a horrible car accident. They have to cut the clothes off of you so you're not embarrassed.
So she would be wearing that every day.
I don't think Lana would. She's so chaste.
When we were watching it, I asked Nicole that question, and she said Nell. And then I said, where did Nell get it?
From Lionel.
Or for Lionel. She got it because of Lionel. We just thought that was so funny. I just was giggling the whole time. It was trying to be sexy in this scene, and I was giggling.
It's the thing is, as a teen, I found it outrageously sexy. As an adult, I find it awkward.
Yes.
Why are you doing back handsprings on a diving board to impress him? Couldn't say.
If having your inhibitions lowered is all it takes to be able to do a back handspring on a diving board, we all need to lower our inhibitions, I guess, when we need to do impressive things.
In my mind, I'm like, okay, so anyone could walk in at any moment.
Well, I think that's part of what Clark's freaking out about.
Yeah.
And his facial expressions, he's like, I cannot believe what's happening. This is the best day ever. Also, WTF?
Yeah.
If I've got a phone call from my daughter's school, hey, your daughter was caught skinny dipping in our pool, I would laugh so hard. And then she would be in trouble. But
Yeah.
I would laugh at my child.
yeah.
And okay, so I love this. I made this comment.
Yeah.
She hops out of the pool, goes up to him, and she goes, come on, you're not made of steel. I know we've talked about this, but season 1 and season 2, just eat it up. It's all there. They're going to just lean into, hey, look, this will be Superman one day. In case you didn't know, not the S on the chest in the first episode or everything we say, but it's just fun little call outs constantly, especially in season 1 and season 2.
And then Clark and Lana get to kiss, and it's real intense and like fast.
And open-mouthed, like typical early aughts kisses where they're like trying to swallow each other's tongues.
It's a little rough, but it's fun.
I can't wait till they really kiss. Like, both of them are into it and it's their actual first kiss. I don't count any of these.
They never get to do it where they're 100% themselves, and it's so annoying.
Yeah.
It was fun for me as a teen, but I don't love it as an adult because it's not real.
I really like her makeup in this scene. It's really nice.
And how it doesn't get messed up even though she dived into the pool.
Yeah, it's really good. It looks so good on her. It's like darker. It's my type of thing.
Yeah.
And so Lana pushes Clark into the pool. Quan catches just Clark because Lana runs away. And then immediately after, Clark tells Chloe all of it. He tells her, yeah, Lana took her clothes off on the diving board and dived in, and then we made out, and then I got pushed in, and then Quan caught me. I wouldn't tell Chloe that whole story. I'd be like, just so you know, something's wrong with Lana. She pushed me into a pool.
Captain Clueless,
story.
of course, would tell Chloe.
This one actually causes a little bit of a plot gap or weakness to me because Chloe would not be okay listening to this.
That's what I was saying.
Because Chloe really doesn't like knowing about this. She doesn't like the relationship. She's got the jealousy. So hearing about this, I know she's there for Clark, but for her to just be like, oh yeah, that happened. That's crazy. That's not quite in character for
I can
me.
see the stretch from the writers is that Chloe's inquisitive journalistic brain kicked in. But to me, that is a stretch. I agree.
Chloe took pictures with Lana at the car crash, and they see this very high quality image of Dr. Hamilton.
Yeah, that's
And
a great camera. It's better
So
than-
they're going to go investigate. But meanwhile, Lana shows back up at the Talon. She's the manager of the Talon after school every day, which, P.S., huge job. She didn't get anyone to cover shifts. So Lana comes to the Talon. There's no one to cover the shift. She's like, okay, everyone drink up. Everything's free. We're going to close early. And Lex is like, are you kidding? I'm an investor in this. And she's awkwardly eating whipped cream in the
Who
most
eats
awkward
whipped
way.
cream like that?
No, not like that. We at our house we definitely take the whipped cream,
Straight
whipped
to the
cream,
mouth.
straight to the mouth.
Why are you gumming it up with your fingers, woman?
Is this the first time that the Talon is open?
No, they had like an opening
In the
when
last-
Whitney got a haircut his first
Okay.
time. That was a couple of, I think, the episode before, maybe.
I thought this was fun because we got to like see people in there and see the vibe.
I didn't notice that this was one of the first times we saw the Talon because
Just like up and running.
in my brain it just is.
It's always there.
Because in the first 12 episodes, I thought the coffee shop was the Talon because in my head it's just the one that they're always in. But
Yes. I got all
Marie.
excited because I was like, ooh, you guys always talk about the Talon. It's open. People are hanging out.
So Lana has been unfulfilled today. Whitney, denied. Clark, denied. And now Lex, denied.
yeah.
She would diddle anybody. She can't help it.
I mean, wouldn't teenage
rough.
you?
Yes.
Those three guys, teenage you wouldn't,
Teenage me did.
In her notebook with their names.
Thanks, Ewan.
Yep.
I hated Lana's whistle with like the three fingers in her mouth, and then I hated the eating the whipped cream. They just totally broke me out of the whole thing.
It's awkward.
Yeah, I think Kristen Kruk can do whatever. I think those were directions.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
And it's meant to be cringy. I think
It might be.
they did a
Yeah,
good
and she,
job
like,
making it
Yeah.
cringy.
She
They're like,
whispers in
"Take it
Lex's
too far,
ear.
No, they
Kristen.
wanted it to be too far because otherwise Lex
Might be into it.
he
Yeah.
might have been like, "What's going on?" It had to be very clear to Lex that something's off with him.
And as soon as Lex denies her, she flips and starts into aggressive mode, and she pushes him. She chucks a glass at him,
Steals
a mug,
his car.
steals his car with her belt chain connecting to
Yep.
not a wallet.
Her jean chain. Mm-hmm. I remember those. I owned one.
I love it. And I loved this. I want you to look. Clark, so Lana takes the truck. Clark sees her do it, and he's standing, and then behind him, there's a Daily Planet truck.
Ooh, I
So,
didn't catch that. Nice
you'll-
catch.
It's right there. Daily Planet.
Yes.
Straight from the source, the Daily Planet.
Wow.
So that's a little fun moment. Fun background catch.
Do you know what the Daily Planet's significance is, Kim?
Yes. Isn't that where they end up working in Metropolis? Yay.
I'm so proud of you. proud of my wife. She's
I mean,
nerdy
Brett-
with me.
She knows her Superman basics.
Yeah. Yeah.
My poor wife. So Chloe shows up to Dr. Hamilton's lab, if you want to call it that, his shed. She comes asking questions, trying to find out how much he's aware of, and she sees something is covered with a tarp. She knows he's hiding something. She glances on his desk and sees a book about the Nicodemus flower, and then all of a sudden decides she's asked enough questions, she's got what she needs to go find out more.
Yes. And so I love that they both are just like, what were you doing in the woods? You know, just normal stuff. And then he's like, what were you doing? Just hanging out with my friends. They just like give each other nothing. And I love it.
Yeah.
Then we get Lana fulfilling her greatest desire in her fit of rage.
Almost.
She also power slides into her final stop in this scene,
Yeah.
which I guess that is another superpower that the lowered inhibitions gives you. You can just power slide vehicles. Like,
Oh, I do that all the time, don't you?
Into fields.
Yeah.
I just don't think that windmill's that high.
yeah, I was a little disappointed in the
We
scale.
paused it and like did how many people tall it was. And it was only like 8 people tall.
Oh.
Listen, they are in Smallville.
I know, but that's what, 3 stories?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So stand on Lex's roof.
see my
Also fair. But this has a view of the skyline.
It's rickety, so it's desirable.
Yeah.
and it's dangerous.
It's scary.
You could get tetanus. It's desirable.
Or it could break and
That
then you
too.
die.
You'd probably only break your legs.
So Lana makes it, what, 3/4 of the way up. Then she starts getting the starry eyes, and then she passes out and lands in Clark's steel arms. Might as well have just fallen to the ground.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't even think of that. That would not have been comfortable.
That argument is always something that I remember on The Big Bang Theory. If you've ever watched it, they're talking about how Lois Lane, falling at terminal velocity, hits Clark's steel arms, gets sliced into 3 equal pieces. And then they're like arguing, oh, he hyper decelerates her. And it's like, in what space? Right? It's just this funny thing. Here, he probably could have cushioned it a bit, but it's still...
Who cares? It's good TV.
But it is his first Lois Lane catch.
Oh, that's so cute.
Or Lana Lane catch.
Yeah.
Well, it's the Lois Lane catch.
Like the
you
classic.
Started with Lana.
know. Yeah. This is where he learned it.
Eat your heart out, Andrew Garfield.
Oh, that's... No.
Yeah, I went there.
But
I went there.
why would you do that?
That's terrible.
Gwen Stacy is dead because of...
Because
Not because he caught her, but because
he caught her.
She's dead either way.
I'm enjoying Daniel's reaction way too much on this.
he just broke his heart.
It still hurts. Oh, yeah. So Mystery Inc. in the next scene is really on the case via Chloe especially. She's done the legwork, and now they're all discussing it together. Clark's, of course, distracted by the problems with his dad, but, he's still interested in finding out the reason
He's got
behind
his
it.
dad and Lana now. Mm-hmm. It's real for him.
Yeah, so Chloe and Pete are going to go investigate Dr. Hamilton's office.
And before we get the resolve of what Chloe and Pete are going to do, we see that Clark has an opportunity to confront Lex.
He asks him, who's Dr. Hamilton? And Lex just lies his ass off.
Except for he never says the lie.
No, he just he evades
just
and he...
evades.
I know, this broke my heart.
Yeah, it's like the first real lie that Lex has told to Clark
To
as
his
far as we
face.
know.
Yeah.
All I did was check out a book.
Mm-hmm.
I want to do this. He's like, he's
He
telling
did just
truth.
check
He's
out a book.
saying truth, but he's not giving the whole story.
He's doing his Lex thing, but to Clark, and that broke my heart.
I hate it. Pete and Chloe go to the barn where Hamilton has his flowers. And Chloe's looking around. Pete lifts the tarp because it's right there, and why wouldn't you? But he's an idiot somehow and breaks the vase, lifts up the vase. We don't really see him get...
We hear like a crash.
You hear a crash, so like that must break. But we don't hear a sneeze, which bothered me because everyone else sneezed. And then he's instantly like, hey, baby.
Yeah, I was
Chloe.
like, wow.
It's so intense. And he goes from sexy to ragey in 1 second. And so my theory was that flower is fresh, and maybe it was its first puff. Mm-hmm. I'll stop saying the E word. The first puff. And so it's so potent and powerful.
I like that. Yeah.
I could be okay with that. It's a lot better than the alternative, which is a pacing issue.
Yes, which is what it really is.
Yes.
But I think we'll go with that theory because that flower had puffed Beals, Jonathan, and Lana.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it was
then-
dying.
And it was already dying, and this was fresh, and then maybe that's why it's so intense
Or
and
the
so
concentrated version, yeah.
quick. Could be.
And you know what we didn't touch on really is that Pete is jealous of Lex and Clark's friendship.
Oh, for sure.
So Pete gets puffed and he's automatically mad and he's going to go find Lex.
Yeah. Well,
That's
and
the new
Chloe's like,
phrase,
we need to go
get
tell
puffed.
Clark. Yeah. We need to go tell Clark, and he's like, no. And I like how there's a gun conveniently sitting on the
Yeah.
counter.
Everyone-
Hamilton could be bothered to, take it with him or put it in a drawer.
Everyone with their anger issues just picks up guns.
Yeah, I don't understand ever leaving your gun just out and about for people.
And loaded.
You know, growing up, my dad had a gun loaded right behind his bedroom door, and we just knew never to touch it.
Yeah, I mean, I keep a loaded gun next to my
We also don't
bedside
have
table.
children, which makes it easy.
Right.
Yeah.
But if I had children, I wouldn't leave it out. But even if I had like a laboratory or something and I didn't have children, I wouldn't leave my gun sitting on top of... I would have it on me or in a convenient place, and I don't think the table's the best place for that, because if somebody comes in, they can grab it. It's
Yeah.
stupid.
Scientists don't care about safety. They care about science. Okay, the next scene. Martha talking to Clark about Jonathan.
Yes. Oh,
Precious.
this broke my heart. She just talks about how they first met. And her cry is so heartbreaking.
I know.
And she's talking about how much in love she is with her husband. And they know that it's probably the last moments they're going to have with him.
Yeah, so how they met, Jonathan was taking a class up in Metropolis. He was taking, like, just sitting, chilling. I think she said eating an apple. And she went up to him and said, "Oh, can I borrow your notes from this class?" And he goes, "Yeah, here." And then she goes, "Well, how do you know I'm going to give it back?" Because she's from the rough and tough Metropolis, and she just had no notion that someone would just believe in people. Yeah. And he just says, "Oh, I like to, believe in the best in people." And she just was like, "Oh, I hope he marries me." Immediately. I don't even think she knew his name yet.
And remember that line, "I like to see the best in people," because somebody else close to Jonathan says it later in this show.
Oh.
In fact, in this season. In fact, in a couple episodes. Anyway.
Hey.
And it's just so cute.
It is. I liked that story a lot. Great acting. Great delivery. Yes. Everything about this scene was very well done. I wonder if Tom Welling was like unable to hold legit tears back just because of how good her...
Does he cry?
Yeah, he gets watery-eyed.
He wells.
He wells, yeah.
And so I don't think he was
Tom was welling.
But yeah, just great. I did see an episode of Talkville where he did mention there was a scene later in the show where Martha's crying and it made him genuinely cry. I never saw the episode about this particular one, but I wonder if it was a similar thing.
I have so much respect for actors that can cry so beautifully on screen.
I know.
Yeah, I wish I could do that.
I have the ugliest cry in the world.
I can fake cry a little bit.
Okay.
And Nicole hates
But
it.
I don't. Do tears come out when you fake cry, or you just make the sounds?
I can't get the tears, but I can make the sounds on the face
and
perfectly.
it's annoying.
Chloe comes to the hospital and interrupts their sweet conversation.
Well, she's got some important news. Pete's been infected and he's freaked the hell out.
Yeah.
And he has a gun and is going to the Luthor mansion right now.
So of course Clark's like, "I'm gone, I'm out."
I like how she's not like, "Let me call the police and let Lex know. Hey, Lex, Pete has been infected.
She just goes
Cover
against
yourself."
Clark.
Maybe, you probably have a safe room. Go in there for the next day.
I think she knows that if anyone could talk Pete
out
down,
of it,
it would be
Yeah,
Clark.
she's going for best friend. She's like, your best friend is going after your other friend.
Right.
You need to see if there's some way you can sort this out between the two of them, because she doesn't want to go to the police to rat on her friend Pete and get him arrested. She knows it's not his fault.
True.
But there's already a trend in this show where people go to Clark when something's bad is happening. They do that. They genuinely have this instinctual belief that he'll help somehow, even though they don't understand it fully.
It's like how in Twilight, people are just kind of naturally scared of the vampires.
Yes.
It's just what they give off. And Clark does the opposite. He gives off goodness.
Yeah.
You guys, I can do this with every episode. If you don't like it, you need to comment on our podcast.
And like and
let
subscribe.
me know, because if you don't tell me, I'm going to keep doing it. But if you give me some kindly worded feedback, I'll listen.
No, she won't quit doing it.
I mean,
It's embedded in her being. So if you don't
grew
like
up
that, I
with
don't
it.
know how you'll handle it.
I'm just saying, listeners of the pod, interact with us.
Yeah.
Because this is the crap you're going to get from me if you don't.
Mine is every episode is miraculous. It's a cute little kid show called Miraculous, and they get akumatized. Someone turns evil every episode, and that is Smallville is the realistic version of Miraculous.
Well, speaking of miraculous, in the next scene, we have some miraculous lying by Clark.
For once.
It's the best lie I think he ever tells in the entire show.
Ever.
Right here is his... Because Tom Welling is a good actor. He's always doing a good job. But Clark Kent is a terrible actor. I do love when good actors are able to act bad. It's fun.
So good.
But
Yes.
here is incredible lie by Clark. He should somehow play this memory back over in his head and learn from it to tell all of his future lies, because it is so much better. But he pushes Lex hard.
Enough to knock him and daze him so he doesn't see what happens.
Pete shows up with a gun, the magic cure book from, they say, Native Americans journal has a cure somehow. It falls into the fire. So now there's this time crunch and this pressure of, well, the book's in the fire.
And I think that was an actual book in the fire, which is a practical effect. And you ever watch a movie where they put something into the fire and it just gets incinerated like that? Have you ever put something into the campfire when you're camping and you're like, come on, just burn.
Yes.
You kind of watch it.
And a book? Have you ever done a book?
Yeah.
They take a
forever.
long time to burn.
Brett's always doing book burnings, you guys. One of his pastimes.
Not even going to fight this.
Brett was like,
He's like, Twilight was first.
when Brett read Fahrenheit 451, he thought he had to do it. When he was a kid, he's like, I want to be a firefighter. Then he read Fahrenheit 451. He's like, that's the kind of firefighter I want to be.
Oh, the irony.
Yep, Pete shows up to the mansion. The book falls in the fire. Luckily, Hamilton whacks him with like a fire poker, hurts his arm, drops the gun for a minute, and he's able to get the book and leave so the cure process can begin.
Yeah.
And Clark shows up after Hamilton's left, and he plays like he's on Pete's side to get into Pete's good graces, and he knocks Lex out, which would have really hurt. And then I love how he just like kunk knocks Pete out with like this little like kunk to the head.
Yeah, that was great. He's learned how to do that. That's a good one.
And
He's going to use that in the future.
I like how Clark can determine how long someone's going to be unconscious for by the way he knocks them out, because Lex is unconscious for the perfect amount of time. And when he comes to, he goes, oh, Clark, what the hell? What are they feeding you on that farm?
To be fair,
They're feeding him hard work.
to be
And
fair, if you guys have never seen the work they do on the farm when they're actually baling hay, anyone that bales hay like that, they really are that tough. And they could
next
shove you like
Superman.
that. That actually is not an exaggeration.
just because Jeremy Clarkson isn't the buffest farmer does not mean farmers aren't buff. He's a tractor farmer, okay? There's a different... He never really bales hay.
So after he lies to Lex and
Saves the day.
saves the day, we kind of get wrap up of the episode. Hamilton's lab has now been totally cleaned out. The flower's gone. And he says, I'm going to go put you at Katniss lab so you're a little more removed from Smallville.
So now we get the legitimate start to Cadmus Labs. Before, we talked about this a couple
Just in
episodes ago.
name.
It was that scheme that Lex set up to get Victoria Hardwick to bite and take over the company. Now he's actually going to make Cadmus Labs a real thing using Dr. Hamilton.
And luckily for us, everyone is cured from the Nicodemus flower. Everyone's happy days. No side effects,
No
seemingly,
I didn't even think about
which is
that.
great.
That Native American medicine is incredible.
We kind of get our final scene with Lana and Clark on the windmill. And then she kind of explains that she was spending the whole day apologizing to everyone, assuming Whitney. They got back together and she's like, sorry, I was puffed by a demon flower.
That's nice. At least in
Still love
Smallville,
you.
you can blame the meteor rocks and the weirdness on
All your
bad actions and decisions.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love how Lana was like, did I do anything embarrassing, Clark?
And Clark's
to
like,
you?
no, I loved it.
He's like, not at all.
It was
we
great.
didn't make out.
No. I'm glad they can't remember because that would be really embarrassing for Lana.
Yes.
And Nell. Where'd you get that stuff?
Oh, no.
No, Nell's one of the ones she had to apologize for. I'm sorry I took
Your stuff.
I'm sorry I took your
Naughty
Lionel
panties.
Luther lingerie.
Collection.
Yes. From your corporate days.
That's our head canon and we're sticking to it.
Oh, my goodness. Poor Nell.
Yeah. And then we get this amazing like helicopter shot of Clark and Lana. It pans away from them on the windmill.
And I was like, wow, Metropolis is really close, like a
It's not
mile.
bad. Yeah, it's not bad.
That actually has plot significance in some parts.
That it's not too far away.
That it's close enough to see, but not close enough to walk to.
And that's the episode. Nicodemus.
Okay, so some fun songs that we have in this. This one actually had a lot of songs playing on everyone's emotions, things like that. They had some fun ones. So they actually had Sadie Hawkins Dance by Reliant K. It's actually one of my
remember
family's
Reliant
favorite.
K?
Yes, we love them.
Get to listen to those. I Will Make You Cry by Nelly Furtado. Supernatural by Divine Right.
Love, that's Lana's pool song.
Yes. Destiny by Sia, Sophie Barker, and 07. And then as we just pointed out, when they're sitting on the windmill and looking out, what a perfect song to play by U2. It's a Beautiful Day.
That's a good one.
That was a good song. I liked it.
Good choice there. So on the episode, we're going to rate this super or man. This one is a man episode to me. There's some fun things about it, but
the fun things about it was human nature. So
yeah.
I think it was fine. Looking back, I think it was a fun episode to talk about simply just because of our antics and as a good standalone, but it is kind of filler-esque. If I were doing Smallville abridged, this would not make the cut. So, man.
I think this one makes it fun to watch just because of everyone's different personality, right? To what Kim had pointed out. That does make it, if you're watching the whole series, to say, oh, I want to see something different. It's not just the same old cookie cutter.
Yeah.
This can be something that spices up the series.
But if you missed this episode and never saw it, which I think I may have watched it the first time years ago, but I haven't since, and I didn't remember most of it, you're not missing out on anything that's crucial to your story or crucial to your development of your characters. It literally ends in the same, all the characters end in the same place they started for the most part, with one little exception that Hamilton's now gone and in Cadmus Labs. That's also not the hugest deal in the world either.
Yeah.
I agree with that 100%. Definitely man, but it was a super fun and different episode. I enjoyed it.
You gotta love this episode. I think it's just so fun.
Yeah.
And if you want someone to have like a fun, more lighthearted, in a sexy kind of way, I love it. Yeah. I think it's a fun one, and I think it's super, and I love it. And you guys can just be boring and not like flowers that do crazy things.
Listeners, let us know if you agree with Nicole or with the other three of us, if this is super or man for you. Tell us why.
Thank you for remembering Smallville with us.
Listen, we're mooching off of you. If you like, comment, and subscribe, we might make money, and it doesn't hurt you.